Boy, you had me from the start. By the way you stare, the way you rolled up on me, yeah. Man, I felt your energy. Wasn't used to being loved and treated differently, yeah. But something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're on completely different pages. Let's go where we were, where no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Boy, you take me on a trip, always up and down and back and forth in merry-go-round. I just wanna get it right, but when you go left, I'm stuck here feeling left behind. Cause something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're going different directions. Let's go where we were, when no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. If you love me just like you say you do, if you kill him, you're gonna kill us too. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe.
Hey, and welcome back to everyone. This is episode 2 of From A to B. I'm Bianca, as you can see on the screen here, and this is Aynur. I am a life and business coach and have also suffered at the hand of narcissists for many years. So we started this channel to raise awareness on what narcissism is, how it affects people, and most importantly, to help people to get out of narcissistic relationships and dissipate some of the misplaced shame that comes about from being in abusive situations with narcissists. So yes, today we're doing an episode on gaslighting. Before we get into it, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Aynur. I'm a life and narcissistic recovery coach. I help people after they come out of abusive relationships to kind of rebuild their life again. And yeah, same, I'm a survivor of narcissistic abuse. So me and Bianca are here just to raise awareness and educate as many people as possible on this issue.
Yes, we are indeed. So we obviously came on last week and we gave a bit of an intro into narcissism. This topic this week is huge when it comes to narcissistic abuse and relationships. is something that up until a few years ago was really overlooked when it comes to kind of domestic disputes and things like that, because prior to new laws coming into place, psychological abuse was never really noticed. Now, when we're speaking on this channel, the majority of what we're speaking about is psychological and emotional. It's not a heavy focus on physical abuse, and we do that because we feel that too much focus is put on physical abuse, and therefore things like gaslighting are overlooked. And in my experience, it's a psychological damage that is done when you leave narcissistic relationships that follows you and haunts you for years and years. Now, all types of abuse leave you with something, but for me, when it comes to gaslighting, I think I can attribute that to majorly having an issue when I left a narcissistic relationship, and when I cut ties with a narcissistic family member, had major issues with identifying who I even was, what I even wanted, and it was mainly attributed to gaslighting. So today we're going to give you loads of examples, and we're going to really break it down for you. What does it mean, so that you know if and when it's happening to you, and not just in relationships but in friendships as well. And we always say, you know, we've done this channel to raise awareness. We've done it to help you to highlight if you think you're in a narcissistic relationship, to help you to highlight if you think a friend's in a narcissistic relationship, or just to get some education for yourself. Now, if it's because of the first one, because you're trying to work out if you're in a narcissistic relationship, and you probably are, because people in healthy relationships don't go around Googling if they are in narcissistic relationships. So just bear that in mind as we're going through. But A, you're fantastic at doing the definition of what things are from a scientific perspective. So let's start with you, Dr. Aynur, with your scientific definition of what gaslighting is.
Yeah, so it is like a manipulation and a brainwashing technique, right? And I'll give you a bit of history from where it comes from, the actual word of gaslighting. So I always find that interesting. So it was actually a play that then got turned into a book. And it's about a man and a woman in a house. And the man keeps turning up the gas dials in the house. And the lady is saying, you know, someone is turning up the gas dials in the house. And the man keeps on telling her, no one's turning up the gas dials in the house. You're going crazy. The gas dials aren't going up. And she's like, no, someone is definitely turning them up. The gas dials keep going up. And then ultimately what happens in the play is she turns crazy because, you know, her entire reality, she thinks she's going crazy. I'm seeing things, you know, it was there, the gas dials are going up, and it's all kind of because the guy was kind of manipulating her and manipulating her into believing his reality instead of hers. And that kind of is where the name comes from. So it's basically someone, you know, denying your reality and replacing it with their own. That's kind of what gaslighting is. And it comes in, like, you know, in the smallest of ways, the biggest of ways, so many different examples, just to kind of make you believe that, you know, maybe you didn't see something right, or, you know, just your sense of, you know, judgment is just completely destroyed. Like, and they will do this and do this and do this until you really depend on the person. You know, they will keep telling you you didn't see something, or, you know, you're crazy, until you really rely on that person. So that's kind of what it is in basic language. Yeah, I think that's a really good explanation. And you know what, we're doing this, like I said, for a few types of people. And for people who have been in a narcissistic relationship, already what Aynur said will ring a bell with you. It will strike a chord. If you haven't been in a narcissistic relationship, you'll probably find a lot of benefit from what we're going to start saying now in terms of the examples. But one of the things that I think has been really frustrating for me lately is the amount of people that are just using the word and just throwing it around carelessly without actually looking into all the different areas that have to be present in order for you to actually be a narcissist
and without actually taking it seriously, in the fact that it's an illness, it's an irreversible psychological illness that people have. Disclaimer, doesn't mean that you should accept their behaviour, because I don't want people to think that, but it's a very serious thing. So we need to break it down from all perspectives for you. But overall, like you said, people are trying to make you doubt your reality, okay? And so it's like, if someone can make you doubt your own reality, doubt your own secret events, doubt your own thoughts, doubt their behavior, whatever it is, then where that seed of doubt lies in your mind, they can now creep in and replace it with their own version of reality, okay? And over time, that's what happens, so that the control of your life, your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors gets passed over to the other person, because the seed of doubt started in the beginning, and it gets so big that you even doubt your ability to make a decision full stop, and therefore now this person has full power and full control over you. And this is where you can find situations where you think, you know, it's the constant gaslighting, which is a part of how a trauma bond is formed, that then leads to situations where people will look at people who've been in abusive relationships and say, well, why don't you leave? Why don't you leave? You doubt whether or not you even should leave. You doubt whether or not that person is even as bad as you think they are. You doubt whether you started it or they started it. You don't know if you're worthy or not worthy. You don't know if people like you or not like. You don't know anything. You don't even know what you like or don't like. So leaving isn't the top priority of someone who is in one of these relationships, if believe it or not. Inner peace is the top priority of someone who's in those relationships. Peace of mind, okay, not walking on eggshells. And you may think, okay, well, that contributes to leaving. Not necessarily. Not necessarily when you're so addicted and you do form an addiction to that person. So, you know, this technique, if you recognize in yourself as we're going through this, that, okay, you may not be a narcissist, but you're doing these things, please understand the impact that doing this over a repetitive period and a long period of time actually has on someone's psychological state, because it's huge in terms of what it does to people, knocking their confidence, self-esteem.
Absolutely.
Okay, so where do you want to start? You want to start with an example of something someone might do? Because I'm very, very keen to like get away from jargon and right into, okay, that's gaslighting, cool, it's down people's reality, but how does it play out? You know, I'm really on like, how does it play out? So how did it play out for you?
Okay, so if I think about myself, I think probably the most common ways in terms of, you know, maybe seeing something and then someone telling you it's not there, or a message being there and someone saying no, it isn't there, or then being deleted and you thinking, was it there, was it not there? Those kind of things, really. I think also maybe in an argument, them saying something and you knowing 100% that they said something, and then them saying they didn't. So then you start to question, did that person really say anything? But I think one that really, you know, at the time, I didn't really know it was gaslighting, but thinking about it now, I'm like, the biggest, you know, way of gaslighting was I would, you know, be filmed when, you know, if I was upset, we'd just been in an argument, he would film me on my phone. So I would then look at myself later and maybe feel embarrassed or ashamed, or feel like, you know, I shouldn't have been upset. We might have been in a public place. He might have been, you know, speaking normally and just filming me like, why are you crying for, you know? Afterwards, obviously, I would look at that video and be like, yeah, I do look really stupid in a public place, crying my eyes out. But that, again, it kind of like distorts your reality, because you start to think, you know, why was I crying in a public place for? You know, was it that serious? I shouldn't do that again, because you start to feel this embarrassment, this shame. So that's like one example I can really think of. But again, it's that, you know, you're way too sensitive. There's something wrong with you. You need help. You need this. You need that. You know, that wasn't said in the argument. Are you going crazy? Like, those are kind of like the key words that kind of come up when I think about gaslighting. but it can, just like that example, you know, it's really like, I would have never thought that was a form of gaslighting, but it is, because again, it's making you look at a situation and think, you know, my feelings aren't valid there. How I felt in that moment isn't valid there. Maybe I should change the way I am, or the way I act, or maybe I am too sensitive and I am too some of these things. So that's kind of how it showed up for me, B. What about for you?
Yeah, I mean, in so many ways, like, and I'll go through as many examples as we can today, but definitely, like, one of the things that happens, and this can happen in a kind of like small way. So I remember a time where I was at home and they'd come in from work, okay, and there were clearly something was up. Do you get what I mean? Their energy was off, like something was going on. So I then turn around and say, okay, what's happening? Like, why are you acting like that? Do you get me? Is something wrong? Did something happen at work? Yeah. Now, that then turned into a big, like, argument about the fact that I'm saying something that's not true. There's nothing wrong with him. He was absolutely fine. The reason why he's not fine now is because I've just said something straight away when he's coming in. Oh, you know, how are you? And actually, I shouldn't really be asking that question because there was nothing wrong with him. But now I'm asking, there's something wrong with him, right? So the outcome of that situation is I'm a nag. Okay. So then there was a follow-on situation where he'd come in from work and seemingly fine. Do you get what I mean? We'd had dinner, everything was fine. We had a good evening. And then we're sitting there and then he turns around and says to me, you don't really know me, do you? I'm like, And he's like, I've had the absolute worst day ever and you've not noticed. I've come in, you've just said hello normally. You haven't asked me if anything's wrong with me. You haven't asked me if I'm okay. You're just happily, you know, eating dinner, like having a good drink, chilling here. And you don't even know how I feel. Just goes to show you don't even know how I feel. You always get it wrong. When I'm in a good mood, you think I'm in a bad mood. When I'm in a bad mood, you think I'm happy. Like, you don't actually know anything. And the thing is, obviously looking back now, I did know. I knew it's perfectly fine what was going on. I know what it's like. I know when someone comes into a house, and their energy's off. I'm not stupid. Do you get what I'm saying? But in that scenario, what a narcissist will do is they make you doubt real situations. So you know that person, okay? You know when their energy's off. You call it out when their energy's off. They tell you they're completely happy, okay? Then when they're really happy, you know when they're happy. You're around this person all the time. They'll tell you they're dying inside. So now you're in both situations, you're wrong. You're wrong when they're happy. Apparently not happy, they're sad and you don't know it. When they're clearly their energy's off and they're irritated, like you mentioned it, and apparently they're the happiest they've ever been. And so what it does is over time, it makes you start to doubt, you know what? What's going on here? Like I obviously don't know. And so what you do now is now you start walking on eggshells, because now you know you don't know when that person's happy or unhappy. You've got it wrong on a few different occasions here, supposedly. So now you are going to try and find another way to work out whether someone's happy or unhappy. You're going to try and now look at physical cues. You're going to now try and look at how they're walking, you know, how are they breathing. And it sounds crazy, but you're going to start now to try and preempt situations, because actually you don't want to get it wrong. You don't want to get in a massive argument about this. Clearly, you're not very a good judge of character, apparently. You don't know when someone's in a good mood or a bad mood. They're using this to make you doubt your reality. And so now you're in a situation where literally you're just walking on eggshells. Now everything's an issue for you, because you know you cannot put 1 foot wrong, because you don't want that massive blow up. And in gaslighting, there will be very disproportionate reactions in comparison to what's happened. Even if you did say somebody's not in a good mood, the way they respond to that is huge, okay? And even if and that reaction, that disproportionate reaction, it further sends you the message that you did something really wrong, because you'll be thinking, why would that person have such a bad reaction if I didn't do anything wrong? Why would they be flipping like this? I mean, I know I said they're in a bad mood. Okay, they're not in a bad mood, but why would they be so angry if they like were not, if I wasn't wrong, they wouldn't just be angry at that. So you think, oh, no one would do that. But they do that. People do have really angry reactions to finding out things about them if they're narcissistic, because actually that's what they are, a narcissist. If someone asked me if I'm in a bad mood, or someone said I'm in a bad mood and I'm not, it's not going to make me fly off the handle. I'll just say, oh, no, I'm not, sorry. My face like that sometimes, whatever. It's not going to make me angry. Do you get what I'm saying? But if you say that to someone, and that's one of the narcissistic things that they do, they're going to fly off the handle about it, because actually they want you not to be able to call them out on anything other than their apparent perfection and also greatness all the time. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, have you ever been in like a situation like that, or what other situations can you think of where it's like, you know what, this scenario was definitely I was being gaslighted?
Yeah. So
I was like, yeah.
So many, like, you know, every time it's like I need to try and think and pick one that's relatable. So I think
How
it was
about any ones with cheating, because they're really good ones for people to understand.
So I would say, you know, when he had my number saved in his phone, one day it changed to my surname, right? And my surname is a Muslim boy's name, yeah. so I've told them before, but yeah. So anyway, that it changed to that, and I saw it. You know, when the phone rang, I saw that name appear, and I was like, "Why is my number saved under that name?"
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, "It isn't," and I'm like, "But I saw it. It is," and then kept on going back and forth. It isn't. It is. No. Why are you trying to make an issue? Why is that? Why is this? Like back and forth. It turned into a massive argument. And I think again that kind of diverts the attention on the real issue. And that's a thing that always happens. You know, you can bring up something that you've seen, and then again to kind of distort like what you're thinking or what you're concentrating on, they will make a massive scene, a massive deal out of this thing, and just move the blame, shift the blame on you. You know, it's your fault for looking at my phone, or it's your fault for seeing it, and then it will just turn into this massive thing, and before you know it, you've taken on the blame and you're saying sorry for something you didn't even do, you know, and you've forgotten about, you know, my surname being on the name of his phone. So I think that again was a big thing. It was, you know, always seeing little things and maybe trying to question them. And I think after a while of doing that, and then, you know, things blowing up so much, you give up, because you don't want that fight. I didn't want to argue 24/7. I didn't want to be screaming and shouting every time I saw something. And after a while, it was just like, you know what, like this time I'm not even going to say anything. And that's exactly what they want. It's like a form of control.
Yes.
And I would say definitely, you know, those big blocks, when you said that, Bianca, I can definitely relate to that, because it was always that, and diverting the argument of the attention onto something else. So that was a big one.
100%. And I've heard so many women, like, I mean, a classic gaslighting and diversion. The woman who finds a message in her partner's phone where her partner's talking about what he's doing with this woman or whatever, and the conversation turns to, why did you look in my phone? Are you actually gone mad? Like, this is not the conversation. You've cheated. So that's the conversation. And the conversation quickly turns to that. Why are you looking into my phone? You know, if you don't trust me, then what's the point in this whole relationship? If you don't trust me, what's the point in this whole relationship? You've proven yourself to be untrustworthy. But then people gaslight you in that situation. Like, another thing, like, another way is kind of like control. I don't know. Yeah, I would say it's like, yes, it is. It's gaslighting, kind of making you, like, from the diversion perspective of asking someone where they are or what they're doing, because you have a right to ask them where they are or what they're doing. If you're in a relationship, it's a normal conversation to have, like, what is someone up to? And the person turning around to you and saying, oh, you're so insecure, why are you asking me questions? Like, it's a normal thing. Every time I call you, I'll be like, oh, what are you up to? What are you doing? Obviously, I know where you are now because it's lockdown, you're in your house. But if it wasn't, you know, you would say to me, oh, yeah, I'm over here, Bianca. You wouldn't be like, you know what, Bianca, you're so insecure. Like, why are you even asking me where I am? But for some reason, people accept this type of thing because it is that whole gaslighting and then making you think that asking a question about where they are has something to do with immaturity or has something to do with you being controlling. When actually, it has a hell of a lot to do with the fact that, no, what's actually going on here is you're trying to divert it because you're probably doing something that I don't want you to do and you don't want to answer the question. So you're using now diversion tactics. Another thing, like I would say, is when you're in an argument, like another way that they will gaslight you is you would be in an argument with them and you will be discussing a particular point in an argument with them, okay? And let me tell you something about narcissists. They have a massive problem with taking accountability of things. Massive, massive, massive. It's very rare, if ever, you will find a narcissist taking accountability for their actions. So you've got a point. Your point is they've done something, okay? Something they shouldn't really be doing and something that warrants you having some type of apology. Instead of apologizing, what you will get is a number of different diversion tactics and something called word salad, okay? So word salad is like a bunch of unconnected events that they will throw back to you in the midst of you trying to put down a boundary and get them to take accountability in order to confuse you. So you can say, do you know what? The way you spoke to me was really, really rude, was really out of order, and I didn't like it, okay? And I think I deserve an apology. And they'll say something like, do you know what? When I was 10, I remember there was this time when I was riding a bike down the road and I saw this man standing across the road. Now, by now, you're all like, what are you talking about, Bianca? This is the kind of way that the conversation will go. It will then turn into there was a ball on the floor and they kicked it and there was a car coming from across the road. And when that car got closer, they really felt like they was going to lose their life. And then they might cry for a little bit. And at this point now, you're freaking confused. You're like, what's that? Even now as I'm talking to you, I can't remember what I said. The first thing was that apparently they're done. Do you get what I mean? Because it's so far away from what you had just brought up that you don't know where this is going. Maybe this is going somewhere. Maybe you're going to get a big confession now about something that's happened that you didn't know that was connected to this. But you're following it. And then at the end of it, they might say to you, and this could go on for half an hour. So how do you feel about that? And you don't even know what they're asking you because you ask them something completely different. And then you think, but they're asking me a question now. I'm supposed to be answering this question. How do I feel about that? But you haven't really been listening because you've been trying to remember what you said. So at the end of this scenario, when you're getting asked questions, you don't really know what's going on. You can't really remember what they said because you're just trying to keep up. And then it's like, and then they go, oh, do you know what? You're not listening to me. And now you're like, oh, what's going on here? Where am I? Like, I'm now in the middle of nowhere. I don't know how we got here. Like, how did we get here? You see, nowadays, I don't allow people to deviate from the point with me, okay? Because I know what that is. I know where we're going with this. I know where this whole word salad thing is, this whole going in and out of different scenarios. You're not going to do it. But, you know, then I wasn't aware that this was a thing. Do you get what I mean? So I'm following this conversation and I'm like, surely it's going to go somewhere. I mean, you could be tired at this time. They love a drama before you go to bed. Love a drama when you're tired because you're on the back foot anyway. So as they come at you, you're not really thinking on your feet straight, you know. You kind of just want to go to bed. Do you get what I mean? And so they're going and going and going because for some reason, they're never freaking tired. They're always ready with their bag full of jargon to spit out at you for hours and hours. But in the end of the conversation, you either won't know where that started, okay? You've deviated so far away from where it started that you don't even know how to come back from this. Because now after everything you've heard and everything they just dumped on you, you don't even know what was it you said again. Do you get me? And at this point, you just want it to stop. You
Yeah.
just want it to stop. So you're just like, you know what? No, let's just leave it.
And
that
yeah.
happens a lot.
Yeah, and I think another way again is kind of just questioning you until they get the answer that they want. And you know, I always used to say, like, you should be a lawyer. You should be a lawyer because you would win every single case. Like, they will question you and question you and question you and question you until you get the result that they want, you know. And people can do that. Like, that is the biggest manipulation tactic ever, you know, just to question, word it around, just like you were saying, the word salad, question. And, you know, in the end, I'm the type of person, you know, I'm just like, you know what, cool, I do it, like, I give up, like, I haven't got time to be sitting here and just go, like, after you've questioned, like I'm in court or something. So honestly, like, that situation used to happen quite a lot to me, where it was just like question until you just say, yeah, cool, I did it. Even though you haven't, you can't be bothered for that. You can't be bothered for that argument. You can't be bothered to sit there and go back and forth. You know, you just want peace. Like you said at the beginning, B. So definitely the questioning as well, until you give up, because they can go on for hours. All the time in the world to win, to get what they want. So yeah.
Another thing that they do in gaslighting, which I think people are not very aware of, but this happened to me a lot. So the thing is, in general, I'm not necessarily the best when it comes to keeping my things in a certain place. So I can have my keys in a couple of places or whatever, right? But I always can find whatever it is. Do you know what I'm saying? There'll be an odd occasion. My bank card is the worst thing that I'm really bad with it. But normally I can find things, But what people will do, what narcissists will do, is they will say, for instance, you're the type of person who always puts things back in a particular place, So you always put your keys on a hanging thing next to your door. Okay. They will move your keys from there. Right, and they will put them, I don't know, say if you came in, you went to the toilet, they will put them in the toilet, and you'll be looking for your keys, you can't find them. They'll do something to make you go into the toilet, you'll find them in the toilet, and you'll be like, that's strange, I'm sure I put them in the thing, and they'll be like, well, you must not have, babe, you know, like, you must not have. And so they'll do that once, they'll do it a couple of times with different things, to the point where you voice it as an issue. You know what? I keep on forgetting things. And then before you know it, bearing in mind, they keep doing this in the same way the person kept turning up the light in the house when we're talking about gaslighting and turning up the heat. As they keep doing it, now they'll start to use that in other scenarios. So, for instance, I don't know, you might have made plans with them to do something in a particular evening. They'll come in from work, they'll get ready, you'll be getting ready, and then they'll go, see you later. And you're like, huh? What do you mean, see you later? What's going on here? Like, we're supposed to be going out. And they're like, no, we weren't. I said I was going out with my friend. You said you was going out with your friends. That's why you're getting dressed. And you'd be like, no, we said we was going out to dinner. No, you know what? It's just the same with your keys. I think you're just forgetting a lot of things. Seriously, babe, we never made plans. Anyway, I'll see when I get home. And you will literally be standing there thinking, oh my God. And now I'm even forgetting appointments and times. So now you'll be doing things. You will start to think in general you're losing your memory. So now you'll start to put extra measures in your life, extra to-do list, extra task list. But because you already have that overwhelming feeling that you're losing your memory, even that starts to feel overwhelming, because you literally think to yourself, my God, what else am I going to forget? It's another thing that makes you feel like you're in eggshells, because you think, I'm not functioning right here. I can't remember things. Why can't I remember things? Why can't you remember? This person is gaslighting you and making you doubt your reality, planting seeds and doing things to make you think that things have happened and they haven't happened. And now all of a sudden you're in a situation and it's like, whoa, like how did I get here, you know? But you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your own decisions. You don't trust that you know what you're doing. It's a nightmare to live with, because like I said earlier, you're going to be on eggshells. And by the time you get to this stage, we're obviously speaking about it very quickly. This has been happening for a couple of months before you get to that stage, but you haven't realized. And the same way, you know, we use an analogy because we're talking about covert narcissists here. We're not talking about your overt narcissist that everybody knows, they're really cocky, really loud, really out there. We're talking about the ones that go under the radar. Those narcissists, when we look at it in terms of an analogy, they describe it as if someone was to put you in a pot of boiling water, put a frog in a pot of boiling water, before it even touched the water, it will be trying to leap back. But if you put a frog into cold water and you put the gas on the lowest level and you slowly turn it up, by the time that frog realizes, in the end, when you're like, boom, turn it up to full blast, it's too late. The frog's already in there. It's no different than, like, you know, when you're in a bath, you can get in a bath at a certain temperature. When you're in there, you keep putting the hot water on. But if you put it on before that, you never could have got in. And it's the same when you're with this type of narcissist. And by the time you realize you're in so deep, you're just like, how did I miss this? There was these little subtle signs, you know, that were going on over a period of time. How did I miss it? But it is, you miss it because it's done so subtly through these gaslighting techniques.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely.
What else do you,
What else? I think just a lot of really making me question myself. Like, you know, I think this kind of falls into devaluation, but also like just small criticisms of everything. Like, you can't really do this, or, you know, are you sure you did that right? Oh, is that the way you do it? Like, you know, just criticizing everything you do. You can never do anything right. Like, there's always some sort of issue or questioning, or like, it was just never ever good enough. So I think, again, that plants some sort of self-doubt into you, some sort of like, I think over time, that being done to you over and over again, question everything you do, criticizing everything you do, really, I think, to me, it was almost like I can't look after myself. And, you know, I would go to this person for everything. In the end, it was almost like, okay, if it's not good enough, then I'll just let you do it. I'll let you handle that. I'll let you handle this, everything. Like, because it was done to me so much over time, I kind of lost that independence, or just knowing I could look after myself, you know. And I think that's what it is as well. It's done to you so smallly, you don't notice it. You don't notice it. Years and years and years of you being told, you know, you're maybe not good enough, or you can't do that, or you can't do this, or everything you try to do, it's wrong. Of course, you're going to leave everything up to that person. And I think that, again, it makes it so hard for people to leave, because in the end, they're in control of everything. The money, the house, maybe the keys of your house, where you go, your phone, your passwords. You know, you leave everything up to them because you've been told for so long that that's not good enough, or you're not doing that right, or you should leave it to me, or just criticize for everything. So I think, again, that's a massive part of it. It's a massive part of them kind of just, you know, just denying your whole reality and making you think that you can't look after yourself and you have to rely on them. So I think a massive part was that as well.
Yeah, and they use reverse tactics on you as well to, like, make you doubt things. So, for instance, I don't know, if you believe that you look good with, like, you know what, I'm going to tell this story, actually. It's quite, not funny, but it kind of is quite funny. So the person that I was with, and look, I'm not saying overall this is a bad thing, okay, but they would, whenever I looked like trampy, basically, in my opinion, they would always compliment me. Like, they would always say, oh, you look really good. I like that hairstyle on you. I like the way you wear these clothes, kind of stuff. Hey, if I show you some pictures, yeah, of how I looked certain times when I was with that narcissist, you would be like in bits. And I'm not saying that I don't appreciate how I look all the time. But I know when I look very good, and when I don't look very good. You know what I'm saying? But what they do is they try to even make you doubt that. You know, as a woman, when you look good, yeah, you step it out, you're like, okay, I'm doing my thing today. This is me. Like, I want to glow up. Yeah, we know what our glow up looks and feels like to us. Now, we also know what a glow down looks and feels like to us, which is cool. We all have those days, you know, we all have that. Most of the time, we're not looking all like this. We make up, all that kind of stuff. We just cash. But the way that person would literally be like bigging me up to make me keep on going out on the street looking like that. One of the hairstyles that this person used to big me up, I look like a granny. When I say a granny, real big time granny. That person would have me on the street like that, you know, telling me I look good. And so these times, the other thing that it does, your friends will be saying to you, you know what, what's going on with you? What's going on with this hairstyle? And they'll be telling you your friend's a hater. Do you get what I mean? And you'll be believing in them as well. Yeah, they're hating on me because I've got a good man, and my man thinks I look good like this, and my man thinks I look good with no makeup. And don't get me wrong, we do look good with no makeup, but no one's up in the club really like that. Do you get what I mean? So why are you making me go places where everyone else is? Everyone else is not. You know what I mean? No, it was a lot. It was a lot, but it was all again to make you even doubt whether you know what you look like at your best. I believe I'm beautiful all the time, but I also know what I can do to enhance my beauty here and there. We know what we look like at our best, but it even made me doubt what do I look like at my best. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. Big, yeah. Absolutely. It happened to me as well, B. Absolutely. I think that also comes into that the controlling behavior as well, because they are big on what you're wearing, what you look like, you know, it's crazy. So I completely relate on that. But guys, in the comments, if you want to drop any experiences that you've been through, any gaslighting examples, we can read them out, or we can get some comments on the screen as well to read out as well, because it'd be good to know what everyone else has been through.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Green said, hey,
I'll go in the house.
You were delusional, you need help. It's okay, I still love you though.
Oh Lord, I still love you though. I mean, this is gaslighting 101. Telling you, oh my God, I heard something the other day, and I forgot to even tell you about this. It's exactly the same as this situation, what the Serena's talking about. I was walking around from my flat, down the road, and there was this guy. Now there was it was iffy on both sides, but what I heard, I thought to myself, I know what's happened here. There's a guy in an ambulance, his hands bandaged up, but bleeding, like literally there's blood everywhere, There's a woman who's outside the ambulance, He's shouting out, you fat bitch, all this kind of stuff to this woman. The woman, and I don't actually think this is funny, but the scenario as well. The woman then goes, yeah, you think you're going to hit me? Let's see what you do now here, that the ambulance is here. And she then put her foot in the ambulance, quickly punched the guy in the face. And it was crazy. Quickly punched the guy in the face and ran off. As she's run off, he's shouting out, you fat this, you ugly that, you're disgusting this, you SLAG that. But don't worry, you're lucky I love you. So I'll be back later after I go to hospital. And I thought, I know exactly what has played out in this situation, He obviously, he's got this blood on his hand, everything. He's done something to her. She's called the ambulance. She's now hitting him when they're there. But the words that was coming out of his mouth and what was going on, I just thought to myself, you know what? This guy, I'm not saying she's in the right, because actually I don't think it's good for anyone to hit anyone. But this guy is a narcissist, is what he is. He's psychological and clearly physical abuser, Based on how she looked and based on what was going on with his hand and all this kind of stuff. And he is like literally driving this woman mad. Do you get what I mean? Literally driving this woman mad to the point now they're in this big old situation. Do you get what I mean? But the fact at the end, when he was kept on shouting out all these nasty things and then going, but you're lucky I love you, you're lucky I love you, no one else wants you anyway, but you're lucky I love you. I just thought, you're narcissist 101. And you know the sad thing in these situations, and this is what I will say to anyone, if you're listening to this and you're still going back and forth with someone in narcissist, or you're back and forth in these relationships and you don't understand why you should leave, these people I understand this whole crime of passion thing. Do you get what I mean? They drive you so mad. You could lose your mind in a second and do something crazy to these people. Easily. because they're literally like, there were times where I would literally be sitting there, just thinking, just please stop going on. They're literally like torturers. Do you get what I mean? They're go badgering you. We're just thinking, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this?
So why? Interrogation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. If I ever asked what was wrong, his response would usually be, "It's because you've done this." Yeah. It's always blame shifting. It's always, trying to guilt trip you. It's always trying to shift the blame from you, divert it from them. It's always your fault. They will never ever take responsibility. He wrapped a book up for me for Christmas off his bookshelf too, about control and manipulation. I know. I've actually I've heard someone before, and that is the biggest. If there was gaslighting, that would be the definition.
Do you know what? It gets bigger than that. Let's talk about going to counsellors or narcissists taking you to the doctors, telling you that you're actually crazy. You've got something wrong with you. We need to go counselling because of you. You have psychological issues. All of this type of stuff they would do. Like the thing is with narcissism, and the thing is with gaslighting, is you're going to have a lot of contradictory behaviors going on. So you're going to have an actual full-on narcissist telling you you are an abuser, you are narcissistic. Do you get what I'm saying? Like all of this stuff, it's a lot. Like it's so hard to comprehend when you haven't been in that situation of like why someone would do all of these things. But the things that they would tell you as well that are just not true. The amount of times I've been in situations where I've been told something by a narcissist, something that made me actually feel sorry for them, something that actually made me feel compassion for them. And they've explicitly told me, don't ever bring this up around my family or my friends, only for me to find out later on down the line that there was nothing going on anyway. Nothing had ever happened to you anyway. And that's why you didn't want me to bring it up to your family and friends. Do you know what I mean? Or like just the sheer lies that they're willing to tell you, and the extreme lies. I think that's another thing of gaslighting that maybe we haven't spoken about, because the lies are so extreme and they're things that normal people wouldn't lie about. They make you doubt whether or not you are the one with an issue. So for instance, one of my exes lied about their child having cancer. And this came about in a situation where I was pretty much on the verge of leaving. Do you get what I mean? And in my heart and my spirit, I knew that wasn't true, okay? In my heart and in my spirit. But I couldn't intellectually take that in. It wouldn't align with my brain, because my brain could not comprehend why someone would lie about their child having cancer. And so another way they gaslight you and make you doubt your own reality and your own instinct and your own spirit is to tell you lies that are so extreme that you believe that no one would lie about them. But the problem is your instinct is always going to tell you when someone's lying. You always know when something's not right. You always know when something's not right. So it's a case of like, when you're in these situations, you really have to get to a place where you start trusting your feelings instead of trusting what they're saying, because there's too many lies. Like even they cry to gaslight you. Do you get what I mean? You know this person doesn't care about you. You know they're being horrible. You know they've been manipulative. You know they've done something wrong to you, and they're crying. They've done something wrong to you, and they are crying. Do you know how much that messes you up psychologically? There are people out there that will even hit you, beat you to a pulp, and instantly cry. Yeah. They will instantly cry.
Yeah.
You'll be consoling someone who does that. Do you get what I'm saying? Because it's a big, massive gaslighting technique to make you think, hang on a minute, look, if this wasn't my fault, if I hadn't done something to deserve it, then why would they be crying? Why would someone hit me and cry? Doesn't make sense. This is not how it goes. The person who gets hit cries. But you will often see it. You will see it reenacted in movies, and you will see it like play out in relationships where someone's been hit, that person's crying, and the person who's been hit is consoling that person, saying, don't worry about it, you know? So there's loads of different ways, I think. But also as well, because we're coming to like, I think we're like in the final 10 minutes. Does anyone have any questions for us? Then we're more than willing to answer your questions as well, in and around gaslighting.
Definitely. What would you say, Bianca, as advice if you're in that situation now to do?
You know me,
what kind of like tips can you give to either get out of that situation, or to know you're in it, or to like how would you deal with it?
Girl, I think, you know what? Whoever's listening to this right now, if they're in this situation, first of all, if you're in the early stages, I'm talking to people who are in the early stage of discovery. So first of all, stop listening to this live and trying to find the one thing that your person hasn't done to prove they're not a narcissist. If there's quite a few things we've said in this live that you know that person has done, or they've done something similar, maybe not word for word, but similar, then first of all, stop pretending that you don't know what this is, because you wouldn't be watching this. We're 50 minutes in now, you're still here. You wouldn't be watching it if you didn't know this was going on or this has happened, okay? So that's the first thing, because when I was first ever watching these videos from other people, I would be watching them. They will say 20 signs that someone you're with is a narcissist. I'll get to 19. The 20th one weren't right. Oh, he's not a narcissist. Yes, he is a narcissist. You get what I mean? So it's that kind of thing as well. I'm not saying it's just men, by the way, but we're always speaking about our experience. Our main experience is with men, because it does happen to men too from women. So I would say that. I would also say start getting yourself a support group. You've probably been isolated, and you're probably quite embarrassed to go back and tell your friends now, after you've been telling them for however long that you're in this great relationship. Now you're probably embarrassed to tell them what's really happened. Don't be embarrassed, because actually in today we've only even spoken about one technique that narcissists use, okay? And they use many, and they are professionals at this. And yes, maybe you did feel it in your instinct when you were first with them, and maybe you didn't ignore it, but it doesn't override the fact that person was very highly manipulative and knew what they were doing, okay? So there's that element of it as well. And then I would say get a support group. Do you get what I mean? Get someone to support you. This isn't a journey you're going to come out of on your own. I don't know anyone who's come out of it on their own. So if you're in a position where you can get a coach, reach out to me and Aynur. If you're in a position where you need a counsellor, reach out to counsellors, okay? If you're in a position where that person has got you completely tied up financially, reach out to Refuge. You're completely free phone, free everything. They will help you as much as they can to get out of this situation. But don't underestimate what's going on just because you can't prove it. Do you get what I mean? Just because you can't prove it. Because you know what? You know what you're experiencing. We know what you're experiencing. Other people who've been through this know what you're experiencing. The very hard thing to quantify, because it's based on how you feel, based on how that person made you feel. It's based on a number of techniques they've used, and they're not tangible things. It's not always going to be like that person hit you. It's going to be, you're going to be saying things to people like, I put on this dress and they said, oh, is that what you're wearing? And that doesn't sound awful. Doesn't sound like a big deal. Do you get what I mean? Doesn't sound like a big deal even if someone as a joke hid your keys. People do it for pranks. Do you get what I mean? Like, and there's always a way that a narcissist will try and talk themselves out of it. But if you can get to a stage where you don't, you're not trying to put like, don't try and get closure or validation from that narcissist, okay? Get your validation from what we're saying here, because we know what's going on. We're on your side. We have your best interest at heart. We are invested in you leaving these toxic relationships as safely as possible, might I add as a disclaimer. And you will know if it's safe for you to leave or not right now. And if it's not, you reach out to people to get support. But that's what we're invested in. The narcissist that you're with is invested in getting more and more supply from you. They're not going to tell you the truth, okay? They're not going to tell you the truth. They're going to keep on lying to you. And even when they do tell you the truth, they're only doing it to get you back in so that they can do the same thing again as soon as you've trusted them again, okay? So just, yeah, any of those things will be good things. But unless you're willing to face the reality of what's going on, you're not going to be in a position to do anything to move forward, because that acceptance has to occur, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
What would you say,
Erin? I would agree with everything you said. I would also kind of stop trying to prove yourself and stop trying to win these battles, because ultimately they're so emotionally draining that you end up, you know, completely defeated at the end of them, and they end up, you know, the happiest person in the world. So I would say stop trying to win the battle and just trust your intuition that there's something not right here. And that can be really hard if you've been in the situation for ages and someone's, you know, kept on telling you what you're feeling is wrong. But I think listening to things like this and getting your validation from things like this, it's like we're telling you that that feeling is right, like you are right, and trust that again. Try to tap into that again. Like even things like, you know, even keeping evidence sometimes and things that have happened, even keeping screenshots and stuff, that just, you know, not to prove the point to them, just to prove to yourself that, you know, I'm actually right. And, you know, you can get that trust back in yourself. I would say that. And then also just watching things like this, a support group, people that have been through the same experiences as you, because it can be really, really lonely and not many people get it. Like Bianca said, like there's so many ways to twist things, like the keys, or so many ways to twist, you know, them saying, oh, maybe you shouldn't wear that today. There's ways to twist that, because not everyone will understand this journey that you're on, or the type of person that you're with. So again, I think finding that support network again, and yeah, just trusting yourself, educating yourself, and yeah, even keeping some form of evidence just to know that that thing actually happened, you know. So yeah, that would be my advice in those situations. Again, if you literally have, you know, you can't invest in a coach or a counselor, Refuge again is amazing, or Women's Aid is like amazing to go to, and they're free. Yeah, that would kind of be my advice there.
Yeah, and I'd like to also say at this point, you know, you've stayed on with us to the end. Please do screenshot this live, share it on your stories on Instagram, like share the link for this video with other people that you know, because you just never know who's going through the same situation, you know, in silence, and you sharing this with them may just help them to wake up and see, oh my God, I'm in this situation. So many people have reached out to us and told us that because of these videos, they actually even first realized that they were in a narcissistic relationship, because we've been doing this since last year on other platforms as well. So yeah, please do share it. If you're watching as well, like, drop a comment below as well. It all helps us to build up and to get in front of so many other people. We wanted to put a different face to this conversation, and take away the shame of it. And if you can help us do that, we'll be so grateful. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. We come back every single Monday, 8 o'clock, and we want to make sure that you're notified when we're here, so you can join in live, ask questions, and get as much help as you can. But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe, share on other platforms as well. We really appreciate all of your support, and thank you to everyone who subscribed so far as well.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel happy, like, we've come over to this platform as well. I think in last week it was our first week coming over, wasn't it? It was like, oh, we missed Insta a little bit. Insta's a bit wild on there, but we know we're going to help so many people on this platform. Like, I would like to be in front of millions of people raising awareness about this, so that, look, we're not going to eradicate narcissists, okay, but at least we can call a thing when we see them, and keep as far away from them as possible. So yeah, we'll be back again next week. We'll be back again next week with more interesting topics for you. So stay tuned with what we've got coming up. If you don't follow us on Instagram as well, follow us on Insta, because you can see what we do in the week. We also share other content and information that you'll find really interesting and useful. So yeah, come over there and give us a follow as well. But yeah, thank you so much, because we appreciate everyone tuning in.
Thank
It's been
you.
amazing. It's been from A to B, hasn't it, Aynur?
Thank you so much, guys.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and if you can think of a cool intro, do.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.